Okay, so today we're going to unpack what looks like a renter's insurance nightmare.
Hmm.
It involves these two women, Brittany Henry and Chenier Richmond,
Yeah.
and they kind of got, caught up in the legal system.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a story that I think a lot of people can relate to, where it's just like you feel like things aren't really going your way in the legal system. And, it's kind of a story about what happens when that feeling is actually justified.
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about some pretty serious allegations of judicial misconduct in this case.
Yeah, we're talking about, like potential collusion, corruption, the whole nine yards.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got a lot of evidence to sort through. We're going to be looking at court documents, emails, police reports.
So we're on a mission to figure out if their suspicions actually hold water. And along the way, we'll be looking at the bigger picture, like what does this case tell us about potential vulnerabilities in our legal system?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the big question here, right? I mean, how can something like this happen?
Right.
And what does it mean for the rest of us?
Right.
If something like this can happen to these two women,
Yeah.
could it happen to any of us?
Right.
Yeah. So it's definitely a story that I think we can all learn something from.
So let's set the scene.
Okay.
Henry and Richmond were living in an apartment in Tempe, Arizona,
Right.
when a major flooding incident happened.
Right.
It caused a lot of damage.
Yeah. Significant damage.
Which, I mean, is pretty standard renter's insurance situation, right?
It totally.
You have insurance for this.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's there for.
Right. So they had this policy with Assurant and Geico, and they filed a claim.
Right.
It was denied.
Yeah.
So why?
Well, the insurance companies, they claim that they had sent out these cancellation notices before the flood.
Right.
And they were saying that, based on that, they weren't liable for the damage.
Okay.
But Henry and Richmond, they insisted that they never actually got these notices. So already, you can see there's a little bit of a discrepancy here.
Yeah, like that's already suspicious, right?
That totally.
It's like, how would you not know?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So upon further investigation, it actually was revealed that these notices were sent to their old address.
Okay, so they moved.
Yeah, exactly.
But they updated their address.
Well, here's the thing. The insurance companies, they actually had the correct address on file.
What?
Yeah, so they knew where they lived. But for some reason, they sent the notices to the old address.
So they're paying for insurance they technically didn't have.
Basically, yeah.
And the companies are using their own mistake to deny their claim.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's messed up.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty shady situation.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder about, their due diligence and their good faith practices.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, what were they thinking?
Right.
How could they make such a basic mistake?
Right.
And then to use it against their customers like that, it's just not right.
So what did Henry and Richmond do? I can't imagine they just took this, like, lying down.
No, absolutely not.
They fought back.
They decided to fight back, yeah.
Right.
So they filed a lawsuit.
Okay.
And they were alleging breach of contract, bad faith, and negligence on the part of the insurance companies.
All right, so now we've got this legal battle brewing.
Exactly.
What happened next?
So initially the case was assigned to this judge named Brad Ostrowski.
Okay.
But shortly after the plaintiffs filed a motion for summary judgment, Judge Ostrowski was replaced by Judge Christopher Whitten.
A last-minute judge swap.
Yeah.
I've seen enough legal dramas to know that that's not usually a good sign.
Yeah, it's definitely something that raises some red flags.
Yeah.
And as we'll see, some of Judge Whitten's rulings later on definitely seem to support that initial suspicion.
All right, I'm all ears. Let's dive into these rulings.
Okay, so one of the first things Judge Whitten does is he strikes down the plaintiff's motion for summary judgment.
What?
Yeah, he cites some formatting issues.
Like what? Like spacing?
Yeah, like in their statement of facts as the reason.
Wait, so he dismissed their motion based on formatting?
Yeah.
That seems, I don't know, like nitpicky.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely raised some eyebrows.
Yeah.
Legal experts often point out that, Arizona courts, they tend to prioritize the substance of legal arguments over, these minor procedural technicalities.
Right.
So it was already kind of a strange move on his part.
Yeah, this was an unusual move.
Yeah. And it didn't stop there. The judge actually instructs the plaintiffs to resubmit their motion with, the necessary corrections within 30 days.
Okay.
But before they could even do that, he granted the defendant's motion for summary judgment.
Hold on. He ruled in favor of the insurance companies before the plaintiffs even had a chance to, resubmit their corrected motion?
Yep.
That doesn't seem right.
It's highly unusual, to say the least.
Yeah.
And to add insult to injury, he then orders the plaintiffs to pay the defendant's attorney fees,
Okay.
which amounted to over $33,000.
Wow. That's a huge financial burden on top of everything else they were going through.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
At this point, I can totally see why they would start to suspect something more was going on.
Yeah, it's like their initial renter's insurance issue is now snowballing into something much bigger.
Right.
It's raising these serious questions about fairness and impartiality within the legal system itself.
Yeah, like the system that's supposed to protect you is now working against you.
Exactly.
So they get hit with this, massive financial penalty.
Yeah.
Their case is dismissed.
Right.
And they're starting to see this pattern in the judge's behavior.
Yeah, it's like all these things are starting to add up.
So what did they do next? Did they just, give up?
Well, I think at this point, a lot of people would feel defeated.
Right.
But Henry and Richmond, they weren't giving up that easy.
Good for them.
They decided to do some digging into Judge Whitten's past rulings.
Okay, like opposition research.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What'd they find?
Well, they discovered that he had an unusually high rate of reversals by the Court of Appeals.
So meaning, his decisions were often overturned by higher courts.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And, a lot of these reversals, they involved cases where he had ruled in favor of defense firms.
Okay.
Similar to the Cavanagh Law Firm.
Oh, okay.
That was representing the insurance companies in their case. So not just a stickler for formatting, but maybe also biased towards the defense.
It's definitely a pattern that raises some serious questions.
It really does.
And, their investigation didn't stop there.
Uh-huh.
They dug a little deeper into Judge Whitten's professional background.
Okay.
And they found something else that was pretty concerning.
Like what?
Well, public records. They indicated that Judge Whitten had actually worked as a defense attorney before becoming a judge.
Oh,
And he had crossed paths with lawyers from the Cavanagh Law Firm on several occasions.
so he had prior connections to the very firm representing the insurance companies in his case.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a conflict of interest?
Yeah. It certainly raises questions about potential bias
Yeah.
and whether he could really be impartial in this case.
I bet Henry and Richmond were feeling pretty betrayed at this point.
Yeah. Imagine that, right?
Yeah.
You're going through this whole process, you're trying to get justice, and then you find out that the judge who's supposed to be deciding your case might actually be biased against you.
Uh-huh.
It's a pretty devastating feel.
Totally. So did they try to appeal his decision?
They did try,
Okay.
but Judge Whitten actually blocked the case from going to the Court of Appeals.
What?
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
Well, it's pretty unusual, especially in a case like this.
Right.
With such serious implications.
It's like he was trying to shut down any possibility of oversight.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way.
So what did they do then? What options did they have left?
Well, feeling increasingly desperate, they decided to file a formal complaint against Judge Whitten.
Okay, who where?
With the Arizona Commission on Judicial Conduct.
Okay, and that's the body that's responsible for investigating allegations of judicial misconduct, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they laid out all their concerns. The procedural irregularities, the potential bias, the appearance of collusion, everything.
Makes sense.
But it seems like their complaint was just ignored.
No. No investigation.
No investigation was launched. Their concerns were just kind of swept under the rug.
Wow. That is so frustrating.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating to have your concerns dismissed like that.
Especially when you've uncovered all this evidence.
Yeah.
Like it must have felt like they were hitting a brick wall everywhere they turned.
Right, and they were running out of options within the traditional legal system.
So what did they do?
Well, at this point, they made a pretty bold decision.
Okay.
They decided to go to the Goodyear Police Department.
Police.
Yeah, specifically their white-collar crime division.
Wow. That seems like a pretty drastic step.
It was a big step, yeah.
But I guess at this point, they weren't just dealing with a simple insurance dispute anymore.
Right. This was way bigger than that.
Yeah, they were dealing with allegations of corruption within the judiciary.
Exactly.
Yeah, something could have huge consequences.
Absolutely.
So did the police take their allegations seriously?
They did. The Goodyear police found their story credible.
Okay.
But because Henry and Richmond had actually moved to Gilbert since the initial incident, the Goodyear police referred the case over to the Gilbert Police Department.
Okay, so the investigation shifted jurisdictions.
Right.
What was the response from the Gilbert police?
Well, the Gilbert police, they recognized how serious the situation was.
Okay.
They took a formal report.
Okay.
And get this, they actually started building a case to arrest Judge Whitten.
Whoa, arrest a sitting judge. That is serious. What charges were they even considering?
Well, they were looking into potential charges of public corruption, bribery, and collusion,
Wow.
all stemming from his unusual rulings and his potential relationship with the Cavanagh Law Firm.
So they believe there was enough evidence to suggest that he had abused his judicial power.
Yeah, and that there was a clear appearance of impropriety.
Okay, so we've got a potential arrest on the horizon.
Right.
What happened next? What did the plaintiffs do?
So while they were preparing for this potential arrest, the Gilbert police actually advised Henry and Richmond to start writing victim impact statements.
Victim impact statements. Aren't those usually for, like, criminal trials?
Yeah, typically they're used after someone's been convicted of a crime.
Right.
It's a way for the victim to tell the court how the crime has affected their lives.
Right.
But in this case, even though Judge Whitten hadn't been formally charged with anything yet, the police were treating Henry and Richmond as victims.
So that means that they believed these women had suffered a real injustice, maybe at the hands of Judge Whitten and the system itself.
It seems that way, yeah.
Wow. To be seen as a victim of the very system that's supposed to protect you.
It's a pretty disturbing thought.
Yeah, and it really raises questions about accountability within the justice system.
Uh-
And there's another key player in all of this that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
The Arizona Department of Insurance.
Oh, right.
You'd think they'd be all over this, right?
You would think so, yeah.
Especially with these allegations of misconduct against the insurance companies.
Exactly. But surprisingly, they were completely silent.
What do you mean silent? Like they just ignored it?
Yeah, they completely ignored public requests.
Wow.
And even the plaintiffs' pleas to investigate the matter.
They just like sat on their hands.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
It is pretty shocking.
Why wouldn't they want to get involved? I mean, especially when the police are investigating potential criminal activity.
Right. It's a question that really deserves an answer.
Total.
I mean, their inaction, or maybe we should call it deliberate silence, raises even more questions about potential conflicts of interest.
Right.
And the influence of powerful entities within the state.
It's like this whole thing is just a tangled web.
Yeah.
Every thread you pull just leads to another layer of complexity. And as we're unraveling this web, we can't ignore the implications for everyday people.
Right.
You know, people like Henry and Richmond,
Right.
who are up against these powerful institutions.
Yeah, it's a reminder that this could happen to any of us.
Right.
You know, we're all vulnerable to these kinds of abuses of power.
So the Gilbert police are, like, ready to arrest this judge.
Mm-hmm.
The Department of Insurance is being weirdly silent.
All right.
What happened next?
Okay, well, before they actually went through with the arrest, the Gilbert police, they said they were going to reach out to the Arizona Attorney General's office
Okay.
just to inform them of the investigation and their plans.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that's standard procedure in a case like this,
It probably is, yeah.
especially when it involves a high-profile figure like a judge.
Right, but you have to remember that Henry and Richmond had already tried contacting the Attorney General's office themselves.
Oh, right.
And they got no response.
So they were worried about potential interference.
Yeah, they were concerned that the Attorney General's office might try to protect Judge Whitten
Right.
or hinder the investigation in some way,
Yeah, I can understand that concern.
given everything they'd been through already.
Right. Like, it must have felt like they were constantly battling against this system
Yeah.
that was determined to protect its own.
Exactly. So because of this anxiety, they actually took another bold step.
Okay.
They authorized the Gilbert police to contact the FBI.
What?
Yeah.
If the Attorney General's office tried to interfere?
Yeah, or if they tried to prevent Judge Whitten's arrest.
Wow.
They were willing to escalate this whole thing to the federal level
They were serious.
just to ensure that there was a fair and impartial investigation.
Yeah, that's a powerful testament to their determination.
It really is.
I mean, they weren't going to let anyone stand in the way of justice.
No.
So we've got this potential arrest, the silent Department of Insurance, the possibility of the FBI getting involved.
Yeah.
Where did this story go from here?
Well, that's where the information gets a little bit murky.
Like, what do you mean?
Unfortunately, that's all we know for now.
Okay, so we're left with this massive cliffhanger. The Gilbert police are, like, on the verge of arresting a sitting judge. The Arizona Department of Insurance is being super shady, and the plaintiffs are like, okay, call the FBI if you need to.
Yeah.
Like, what happened next?
Well, that's kind of where the trail runs cold.
You mean like we don't know?
Yeah, the publicly available info just stops there.
So we're left with all these unanswered questions. Did they actually arrest him? Did the Attorney General step in? What about the FBI? Like, it's frustrating to get this far and not know how it all ended.
It really is. But even without a neat little bow on top, this deep dive has uncovered some pretty disturbing stuff.
Yeah, like what happens when the people who are supposed to be upholding the law are the ones abusing it?
Yeah, and what can everyday people do when they come up against that kind of power?
Exactly. This case really shows how messed up things can get when judges have ties to the firms or the people involved in a case.
For sure. And it makes you question those regulatory bodies too, like the Arizona Department of Insurance. Their silence is just deafening.
It really is. Like, are they in on it too? Makes you wonder.
I mean, it certainly points to a need for more transparency, like who's watching the watchers.
Right. And is this just the tip of the iceberg? Are there other cases out there that just haven't seen the light of day?
It's a scary thought, and it highlights how important those investigative journalists and whistleblowers are.
I bet this was just so disillusioning for Henry and Richmond. To start with a flooded apartment and end up facing down like corruption in the legal system, that's rough.
Oh, totally. It definitely shakes your faith in the whole idea of justice.
Yeah, that's a reminder that sometimes the truth is really hard to find, even when you have all the evidence.
Absolutely.
But their story it's like a warning. It tells us that we always need to be paying attention, holding those institutions accountable, making sure justice is actually fair for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And maybe someday, more information about this case will come out. Give us some answers, some closure.
I hope so. But for now, I guess all we can do is keep asking questions, keep the conversation going.
Totally. And work towards a system that's actually just, for everyone. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up our deep dive for today.
But remember, the conversation doesn't end here. What did you think about this whole case? What would you do if you were in their shoes? Share your thoughts, keep talking about it, and until next time, stay curious.